Hello fellow YouTubers. So I'm making another garment today. I'm so proud of myself. I made a blouse yesterday and I'm gonna make another one today. I'm so proud. But anyways, I'm making another garment today. I'm making a blouse off of the McCall's pattern. What was it again? M7162. So it has different blouses on there that you can choose from. I want to make blouse D. So got my pattern, I have my pins, my scissors, my measuring tape, my pencil, my ruler. I kept this out yesterday. You need a ruler. Well, I need a ruler. Some invisible zipper and my crochet needle for unconventional ways of making spaghetti straps. So please continue along this journey if you want to see how I made this blouse. So for this top, I cut all the patterns that I needed. I cut the pattern number 13, pattern number 3. I cut 2 of them, one for lining and one for the actual front of the blouse. I cut pattern number 12. I have 2 of them. I cut pattern 6, which is going to be for the spaghetti straps. I cut 4 of pattern number 4. 2 of them are going to be the fabric itself and the other 2 are going to be the lining for the inside. So here's for the lining and here's for the blouse itself. And I cut a pattern number 13 along the fold line. And this is going to be the front of the peplum. So I have all my pieces cut. First thing from yesterday that it tells you to do is to sew the darts. Or the darts. So, I did put some notches on it. There they go. Okay. Having a hard time finding them. So, I'm going to fold along where the top of the dart should end and where the bottom ends. And then I'll sew along it. So on the pattern it shows you where you want your dart to be. So I made a little circle where I wanted the dart to, basically where the dart should end. And I cut little slits where it should end at the bottom too. So after that I fold it and then I take a ruler and make myself a sewing line. And I just trace down it so that this is where I know I need to sew. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So now I have where I'm supposed to sew along. I'm going to do the same thing to pieces 4 and the other part of the other one to piece 3. Okay, so now all your darts should be sewn as such. So I've done this for my 2 back linings, for my 2 back outer pieces, and then for my 1 front lining and the front outer piece. So for the straps, you're going to take the strips that you cut, both of them, you're going to fold it over so that the wrong side of the fabric is showing. You can iron it to make it flatter so it's easier to sew, and then you're going to sew across the top to seam it together. Now, using my unconventional way, I'm going to insert my crochet needle into the opening and pull it all the way down. Then I'm going to grab a piece of the fabric and then I'm going to start to pull it through. So you have to be careful because sometimes the crochet needle may grab like that. So and there you have it. So after you pull it through, you then want to iron it out. So you should have 2 of these for the straps. So after you make the straps and turn them inside, turn them inside out, which would reveal the right side of the fabric, you want to pin them to the right side of the blouse, the fabric of the blouse. So once you figure out basically where you want to lay them, you then want to take the lining that you made and put the right side of the lining on the right side of the fabric. Now this is where these come into play, these notches right there. You want to align the notches together so that you know where to sew them together. So after you align the notches together, you then want to take some pins and pin the lining and the actual fabric around the perimeter so that you can sew it. So yes, before you sew the lining to the shirt, you want to connect the pieces 4 to the piece 3. So remember, the notches come into play, those little triangle marks that you made. Align them up together, and then when you're done, sew it together on both sides. So you want to do it for this side, and you also want to do it for that side. After you do that, you also want to do the same with the lining pieces as well. You want to sew the piece 4 to piece 3 on both sides. So I've gone ahead and I've sewed the lining onto the fabric itself with the straps inside. So when you flip it around, you're gonna see where the straps are. But before we do that, what you want to do is, with this part right here, you want to fold it in. So after you fold it in and you iron it, it should look like that. So to prevent the top part from being so bulky, you want to cut some of it off. So same thing from the armpits too, so that it doesn't bunch up. Okay, so now you want to flip it over. And then iron on those edges where the lining and the fabric itself meet. So now to make the peplum, if you remember, we had 2 pieces of this, which is the piece 12. I've sewn it together with the piece 13, but you basically sew the edges. You put the right side of the piece 13 on the right side of the piece 12, and you align it up with the notches. Remember, I told you those notches are really important. You line it up with the notches, and then you pin that together. And then you do the same thing on this side. So be mindful and be careful when you're doing this to make sure that you put the right side on the right side of the other piece of fabric too, so that after you sew it and you flip it, they'll both be on the right side. So you sew those 2 sides together, and that'll give you the peplum. Now with this top, it's gonna be gathered. So to gather, what you want to do is you want to sew. Let me see if I can get this clear. There you go. You want to sew 2 lines. Just sew 2 lines across. So you want to flip it, and then on both sides you're going to have knots. So on the right side, I took the 2 strings, the 2 pieces of thread that were showing on the right side, and I tied that together. So that's basically going to be like my stabilizer thread. And then I left the thread on the back side open. So that's the thread that I'm going to pull. And then when I went on this side, instead of tying the string on the right side, what I did was I tied the string on the back side. So that's going to be my stabilizer on the back side of the fabric. So what you want to bear in mind is, one on each side you're going to have a knot for the string, and you're going to have an open end. So what happens is the knot basically will stabilize so that when you pull the thread, it'll prevent it from coming out on the other side. What you want to do is take one of the strings that's not knotted and just start to hold it. And while holding it, you want to only hold the string on one side. While holding it, you're going to start to pull the fabric. So as you pull the fabric, it's going to start to gather. And then you just keep pulling throughout. So you just keep pulling the gathers throughout the whole top part of the fabric. So that's how you create gathers using the sewing machine. So you have to be really careful when you're doing this because you can break the thread if you pull too hard or if you're too forceful with it. So to kind of help it along a little bit, you can then go to the other side. What you then want to do is take the blouse and find the notches and align it to the peplum part. You want to align the right side of the blouse with the right side of the peplum. And those notches, you want to align them. So here goes the first notch. I'm going to align it and then I'm going to pin it to let me know that that's where I need to make sure when I sew it's aligned to. Same thing. Find the other notch here. Align it. Find the other notch here. Align it. And then pin it. So I'm also going to pin the edge of the peplum to the edge of my blouse. After you spread everything, the full perimeter of the blouse, you then want to pin it so that you can sew over it. Here I have sewed the gathers to the top of my peplum blouse. So when you flip it over the right way, this is what it's gonna look like. So you can see the gathers. So next thing to do is to put the zipper on and sew the straps to the back, to the inside part of my top. So as you can see, I put the zipper on the back. It's an invisible zipper. I didn't have enough. I bought it too small, so I had to leave a gap up here. I'll go on ahead and put a hook and eye there so it can kind of close it up. And then I sewed the straps on the back. I sewed across it with the same color as the color of the fabric that it was laying on so it could kind of blend in a little better. And then I did the hemline. So I just folded it over once and then I just went around it with the sewing machine. So this is the final product. A high-low peplum top.